Over the many years that The Simpsons has been on air, the writers have gained a reputation for having this uncanny ability to predict real-world events. Today, we are taking a look at what, according to the show, might possibly come true as we ring in the new year. Will there be a space catastrophe? A contamination meltdown? An economic crash? Let's dive into the world of The Simpsons as we count down the top 10 Simpsons predictions for 2023 that the government can't ignore. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot we have Bye Bye Son. Let's take it back to season 6, episode 25, to The Simpsons episode titled Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1. In this episode, Mr. Burns makes a crazy decision in order to have some more financial gain. I mean, surprise, surprise when it comes to the money-hungry mogul. The decision he makes, however, is to permanently block the sun from shining down on Springfield, and he does this so that people can't rely on solar power at all and instead need to rely on electricity from his power plant. Yes, it's a very greedy plan, but some think this may be a prediction of things to come. There are, of course, space laws and treaties, but it's also kind of a difficult thing to manage, and it has people asking if, as space exploration and travel becomes more privatized and accessible, for lack of a better term, space will soon become like the wild, wild west. It doesn't necessarily have to be by way of blocking the sun. Of course, that is dramatic and would have a far greater negative impact on our world than any sort of positive financial gain, but it definitely is a thing that has people wondering, will someone soon try and use some sort of cosmic power to hold the world hostage for their own financial or political gain? Only time will tell. In our number 9 spot today we have Contamination. The 2007 Simpsons movie is a classic, but there are people who believe it may contain a grim prediction for our near future. In the movie, the town of Springfield gets put into quarantine, I know that word still sends shivers down my back, after an environmental disaster which results in their own town being covered in a glass dome. What caused this disaster is that Homer dumped a silo of pig waste into the lake and it polluted the water. The water then became so toxic that the EPA was ready to blow the entire town up. This could perhaps be the foreshadow of a real-world event to come. I mean, we are constantly dumping things in places that they really shouldn't be, and sometimes it's just because we don't have any better ideas. I mean, for example, Lake Karachay in Russia. While it was once just a regular old lake, starting in 1951, the Soviet Union began using it as a dumping ground for radioactive waste from a nearby nuclear waste storage and reprocessing facility. The original intention was to only use the lake for storage purposes and one day to return the radioactive material to the plant, but this of course didn't work out even close to according to plan, considering the lake very quickly turned lethal. The lake is now one of the most contaminated, polluted, and dangerous places in the entire world, and the radioactivity in the lake is comparable to what it was once like in Chernobyl. Okay? That is just one example of how things can quite quickly go awry and turn deadly. In our number 8 spot today we have the asteroid. Would it really be a new year if there weren't predictions of an asteroid hurtling towards Earth, threatening life as we know it? Absolutely not. It's the prediction that comes up every year, and when we take a peek at season 6, episode 14 of The Simpsons, titled Bart's Comet, we see the grim prediction come to life in the animation. In the episode, Bart discovers a comet that is heading straight towards Earth, threatening the lives of everyone there. The residents of Springfield quickly begin to panic after learning the news, which leads everyone to count down the days that they have left. At the end of the episode, which I almost said spoilers, but if you haven't seen it by now, are you ever going to watch it? The asteroid doesn't hit the Earth and instead ends up burning up into little pieces, and everyone can live another day in Springfield. Maybe this is meant to foreshadow how those asteroid deflection tests that were carried out earlier in 2022 might actually prove useful in the near future? In our number 7 spot today we have Big Ben. Because of all of our advancements in technology, the traditional ways of doing things tend to get thrown out for newer, easy-to-use gadgets. This has definitely made our lives a lot more efficient and simple, but is newer technology always the way to go? Big Ben appears a number of times throughout the Simpsons series, but it is always seen with a digital clock instead of the real-world analog clock. Just recently, the great bell of the great clock at the Palace of Westminster returned to its original dinging schedule after being mostly silent for about 5 years while it underwent the most extensive renovations done since its initial build. While these renovations recently were completed, something that the Simpsons may be predicting a more modern future or modern approach. At this point, this is one prediction that is doubtful, but who knows, maybe analog clocks will one day be a mysterious part of past human history. In our number 6 spot today we have Mars colonization. In season 27, episode 16, titled The Margian Chronicles, Lisa hears about a new company called Exploration Incorporated who has a target to colonize Mars, which leads to Lisa signing up for the project. This 2016 episode has people drawing parallels between the company in the show and the real-world company company led by Elon Musk, SpaceX, which also has the goal to possibly one day colonize Mars. In the episode, Marge isn't cool with Lisa signing up, which somehow leads to the entire family signing up for the project. Problem is, however, that the date of everything gets moved up from its projected 2026 date to the end of the week. This has people predicting that we may get to Mars sooner than SpaceX's current 2029 projections. Doubtful that it will be by the end of next week, but who knows? Space technology is rapidly advancing, so truly, your guess is as good as mine. In our number 5 spot today, we have the next president. Many people believe that The Simpsons correctly were able to predict the presidency of Donald Trump, and they think that they might be back at it again, this time with his daughter. While 2023 doesn't hold any sort of presidential election, the following year does, which means that people will be starting their campaign trails sooner rather than later. The 2016 Treehouse of Horror episode featured Homer wearing an Ivanka Trump 2028 sticker, and this has people thinking. It's not necessarily a completely unrealistic prediction, whether in this upcoming election or the one that follows. In our number 4 spot today, we have Mind Control Music. In season 12, episode 14, the show invited NSYNC as the guest spot, and also possibly made a prediction for the future of music. Of course, predictive programming isn't a new idea, and people believe it's constantly happening around us, but this episode takes that idea and pushed it even further. In the 2001 episode, we see Bart in a new band with his friends. What they don't know is that their music is actually a psychological operation that is used to send children subliminal messages and control their minds. Like I mentioned, people believe this already to be the case, but the episode really makes you think. Will one day the government be using pop singers and bands to impart subliminal messages to youth all over the world? Hopefully not, but only time will tell. In our number 3 spot today, we have VR food. Season 11, episode 17, titled Bart to the Future, is one that often comes up when people discuss Simpsons predictions, both for things that they think this episode has accurately predicted, as well as things that people think are impending upon us. For this particular prediction, I want to talk about the moment in the episode where we see Homer and Marge eating some sort of food through feeding tubes with VR goggles on. Yeah, VR food. Interesting idea, but in reality, is it really a good idea? I mean, we have to consider if we'd really be enjoying our food this way. Obviously, we eat because we have to, but it's also a social activity. If we went to virtual reality food, it would be hard to enjoy a meal out with your friends and family, not to mention the chance of getting motion sick from wearing the goggles, personal experience. Despite my obvious aversion to it, some people think that this is the way of the future. VR is only becoming more and more available, and it is also only getting better. Maybe this is one upcoming technology that we should all start to look out for. In our number 2 spot today, we have the robot revolution. It's not a new concept or idea. For years, people have been scared of some sort of robot revolution where they turn on us and attack us. And listen, I mean, I've seen iRobot. It makes me nervous too. Some people have taken a moment in season 6, episode 4 of The Simpsons as a prediction of some of the horrors that are to come. In the episode, during a visit to Itchy and Scratchy Land, the robots that are meant to help the guests with their day out start to break down and begin trying to kill the guests. Definitely not the day out that the family thought that they had planned. Although this episode aired in 1994, people believed that this could one day be our future. What do you think? Will the robots and AIs one day turn on us? In our number 1 spot today, we have the economy crash. In the 9th episode of the 24th season, titled Homer Goes to Prep School, some believe that there is a grim prediction for what is to come as it relates to the economy. Basically, in this episode, Homer is at Moe's speaking about how he doesn't believe that society could stand a collapse. As Homer is speaking about this and voicing his opinions, another man overhears him and interjects with his opinion. This man agrees with Homer, but adds that there soon will be an economic disaster and that the United States would fall. Homer disagrees with that last bit, and this is when the man pulls out a video to show Homer. Turns out that this man is very clearly trying to lure Homer into his cult, as he shows him a video of the upcoming apocalypse that he believes is imminent and asks Homer to join his doomsday prep cult. Hopefully we're not all joining cults this new year, but unfortunately some people believe that with the new year will come an economic crash, and to be fair, outside of TV and The Simpsons, people everywhere are predicting that based on real life events as well, so it's not looking good. On a positive note, however, the episode ends off on a good note. Everyone ends up good, so maybe that's also a prediction for real life and what's to come? Let's hope. Alright guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!